the convo is the second tax apron. Now, this has been a conversation that has been going on throughout the league over this last year, specifically because it pretty much kicks in. Did it already kick in? It either already has kicked in or is going to kick in next year. For those who don't know what the second tax apron is, it kicks in $17.5 million above the luxury tax line, about $182 to $83 million this season. Once you're over it, the league treats you as if you've smacked into a soft hard cap. Essentially, once you get to the second tax apron, you are hit with a bunch of restrictions as a team and how you can move. One of them is like when you make a trade, you can only trade one player at a time. So, the Celtics were over the second tax apron. If they were going to trade Drew Holiday, you cannot ship Drew Holiday and Sam Hauser to make the contracts match with some other team. It just has to be Drew Holiday. I believe you can still add draft picks, but these are the type of restrictions. Also, on top of that, after the second tax apron, I believe like every dollar you're over, you have to pay like $8 in taxes. I definitely fucked up that number, but it's insane. And it's a very big reason as to why like owners specifically don't want to be in the second tax apron. And also, you don't have a taxpayer MLE. So you can't add a $7 to $8 million rotation piece in the middle of the summer, which is a big part of, roster construction nowadays. And a lot of people are looking at one CJ McCollum and I believe Grant Williams.
I have seen a ton of CJs.
And Garrett Temple. They always forget about Garrett Temple.
A lot of the NBPA guys as people who have ruined the league because they were the guys representing the Players Association going into the CBA agreement. And they mutually agreed with the NBA and its owners for these terms. And a lot of people have been making the case that it's had some bad effects. It has ruined our league. And some have actually taken the anti to that take, saying it has actually saved our league. This is actually the league that we want. And y'all are for no reason. So react.
I'm going to be honest. I agree. Seeing the actual effects that the second apron is having on teams and team construction and what people are being paid in the offseason, which is the biggest thing to me. Like, I was sitting there thinking, man, Shea really is getting paid $70 million a year. But guys off the bench are making bench player money. 2 years, $13 million, 3 years, $27 million. Luke Cornett getting $10 million a year. No one is getting Luol Deng and Timothy Mozgovs like that. The guys that are getting paid a little bit more, low-key deserve it. I haven't seen one contract where I just looked at it and said, ooh, that much? Everything's been relatively underwhelming. Trey Mann's extension, underwhelming. Like, no crazy kind of money. All because teams are so scared of that second apron. So I don't know much about it. I'm just seeing the effects that it's having. It's causing parity. It's causing teams to make decisions, make moves, come off of guys, pause, do things that you got to do to continue to run your establishment and run your business the way that you need to. I'm all for that. I am so sick of the super team era. The super team era was ridiculous, and this helps that player empowerment argument, well, the anti-player empowerment type of people, the people that are sick of players dictating where they go and having so much power with these teams and organizations. Now, these teams are getting guys up out of there. You will be rookies getting traded. Oh, here we go.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute. You have triggered my trap card, buddy. Weren't you Mr. Player Empowerment, specifically with the draft class? Mr. I don't know if I can say it, but Ace Bailey should be crying. Because this is not the 60s anymore. He should be able to decide where he goes. He should be able to demand more money. He should be crying and bitching because he's not playing broke ball. So why is nothing?
I'm not against it. I said what's going on is a good argument for the people that are arguing that. I don't know what anything you just said. It's not me, but I can acknowledge a good argument. I can't be objective in conversations. I can acknowledge when there's a good argument out there against something that I may believe or I may feel. And I never specified what I feel in particular with what I said. So the trap card thing, I don't know what you're pulling a trap card for.
That for some reason now because you are pro this now. Like you specifically said you like these changes. And you randomly brought up a point that you don't agree with to support that argument. What the hell? What the hell, Yante? What the hell, Burton? What the fuck?
Again, it's called being objective, which us mature professional debaters can do. You were never on a debate team, you know. I wasn't like a nationally ranked debater, but I was on a debate team. So there's always a level of objectivity I can have in any argument. You wouldn't know nothing about that because you weren't on the team, buddy.
But no one asked you to make an objective argument. I am asking for your subjective take. Again, what the hell?
Are you asking for that?
Yes.
You didn't ask me anything.
I said, Damo, react. How do you feel about this? That's all I said.
And that's it. And I told you what I thought about the second apron. What's the problem here?
The objectivity is the problem.
Yeah. Trap card my ass, buddy. This is crazy.
Well, let's go into the discard pile. Go ahead, Sage.
Man, yo, you're disgusting. I'm mad you. Anyway, nah, man. I want to sit here. And I need to work on this mid-level of my creator ability of not being able to fake clips. But I ain't gonna lie. I really want to stand on the soapbox of me saying, y'all don't know what y'all want, bruh. Y'all hated super teams. You like the early 2000s hoops where characters like Kobe, LeBron, Melo, and then just a bunch of role players can get it done. Now that you have a league that is clearly going to cater towards that, because it's going to take some time for some good situations, bad situations, and everything in between to adjust to that new era and new layout and format of basketball. Now it's, my team's stinky now. I hate it here. Man, y'all don't know what y'all like, bro. Y'all, I seen the tweets when it was happening. When the finals was happening. I miss super teams, man. Bring back the Warriors. But then y'all hate Kevin Durant to this day. How is that literally possible? I'm telling y'all, man. The second apron is definitely going to be an adjustment period, bare minimum. Everyone can agree on that. I think the problem is a lot of people are impatient and desire instant gratification in pretty much everything they want and do. So you're going to see weird trades, weird scenarios. Teams like the Boston Celtics, who you thought would be contenders for at least 5 straight years, kind of hit the button out of nowhere because the league is going to change. You're either going to take that hit and just say, screw it, or you're not. And if you're not going to do that, you're going to have to make drastic changes right now so you can be a competent franchise going forth. I'm truly excited to see which GMs can adapt. I don't know how that's not a takeaway for most people, but I understand I'm weird. It can be annoying. Now the only thing is players who have contracts currently that may be a little bit over the top, as Damo was saying, because role players now are getting paid like role players. For some people that means higher, some people that means lower. That's up to you. But now it's a situation of those overpaid guys being seen as burdens more than at the time being seen as just honest benefits, if not saviors of franchises. Teams like the Lakers, obviously, the Grizzlies with the Desmond Bain stuff. These players that were overpaid but worked for us, now they don't work for you anymore. And that's why people are bitter about it. But I don't think long-term, hell, even right now, I don't think this is an issue at all. It's just going to see who adjusts and gets good at the game. And I'm all for that.
I think for me, I agree with both of y'all in terms of like, as a viewer, there's definitely positives to the second tax apron with, teams getting better, this, that, and the thing. Like, I agree with a lot of what y'all said. But I think for me, especially because, like, there's a players association involved, like, I'm just thinking about it from, like, an employer perspective. Should we be rooting for something that takes away money from, from the players and gives more money back to the owners? Like, is that something we should actively
Why does it have to coherently take away from the players? If you're good enough to be a max player to a franchise, they're going to pay you the max regardless. If they're not going to do that, then they're not going to do that. Now, sure, we can argue the ability of a supermax, the idea of a supermax may need to change. I'll give you that. It does seem like theoretically anybody with a superstar already getting paid a max and then a rookie that blows up, he's going to be really good and he's about to get a super max. Now it's like, damn, that guy probably won't get that contract unless they're willing to just say, screw the rest of the roster. But I personally think you need to draft better, low key. Like, that's my hot take. Draft better at 20, draft better at 30. But even if that can't be acceptable, That be the only good counterpoint to me in this, that maybe the idea of having to stay with a team for 7 years to get that super duper max, maybe that needs to theoretically change if the idea of a co-star never being able to get that money and only SGA, only Jokic, only Luka gets that dollars. Now, what's going to sound messed up, and I'm going to let Damo talk here, some people will argue that should be the case. Some people will argue, gang, Clay matters a lot. He should never make Steph money. Some people will argue, because the first thing that comes to my mind in this situation, hey, Jet and J-Dub deserve a lot. They should never sniff SGA money. So maybe that's a scenario. Maybe you need to be good at acquiring free agents that can do similar things to those players when it's time to pay those players. But that's just me. But I do think the Supermax idea may need to be revised. I'll give you that for sure.
I'm not a player. I'm not a professional basketball player. Never have been. Wish I was. I'm a fan. I peaked as a fan. And I'm a fan of the game and a fan of a team first. So my biggest concerns is what helps this team create the best roster to win the championship. And that is financial flexibility. So yes, I am all for Luke Cornett getting paid the money he deserves versus being able to go out there and get $22 million from the Utah Jazz because he just could as Luke Cornett. We are well past that. I am thinking of what helps a team because I am a fan of a team. I am a Lakers fan. And if you look around the league at what bad teams are doing, that is the effect of the second apron. You are looking at some of these bad teams now, instead of just waste money on a player that is going to be impossible to move, they are actually getting the Charlotte Hornets, hey, trash team, garbage franchise, whatever you want to say. They have made signings that have made sense. They have made trades that have made sense. They have brought on names that have made sense. They don't want to just waste money. I get it. The Nets are doing things that make sense for the Nets. There are teams that are just bottom of the barrel that I was seeing as tanking teams. Now they're making more smart decisions versus anything. On top of that, this is a result of the players. Chandler Parsons, this is your fault. Ben Simmons, this is your fault. Joel Embiid, this is your fault. Timothy Mozgov, Luol Deng, this is your fault. Mike Conley setting the market at the time he set the market. This is your fault. So y'all want to blame? I'm not mad at the situations that the players caused themselves. CJ McCollum, this is your fault. Garrett Temple, Grant Williams, this is the players' fault.
Wait, how is that the players' fault? That's the owner's fault. They, at the end of the day, they have to end up. They still have to put the offer on the table. You
That's fine. So, these guys have to perform up to that expectation. If you don't perform to the expectation, it's your fault when everyone looks around like we wasted so much money just giving guys money because of whatever the case is. Now we got to be a little cheap. Y'all got to earn it. I'm all of the camp of if you're out here winning awards, you're out here being a superstar-esque, hell, bare minimum all-star. I feel like all-stars are max level players. If you're able to play at an all-star level or rate, you should be able to get paid max level or equivalent money. But if you are Lance Stevenson, I'm sorry, gang. I don't want you making 20 mil. Sorry, Lance.
No.
And you're my guy.
I get where you're coming from. My thing is like, okay, let's just the CBA agreement, whenever it happens, the CBA summit. I don't even know if that's how it works. All right, Mark Cuban and the guys get together. You know, Mark Cuban on one side, CJ McCollum, Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams on the other side. Owners go up to CJ McCollum. Yo, man, like, y'all getting paid too much. Like, we can't afford these contracts. On the other side, you right. Don't pay us as much. Like, that just sounds crazy to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, as a representative of the players, your prerogative should always be putting more money in our pockets. Full stop. Like, the owners and their mistakes, that is something they have to deal with. But your job as the people representing us is to negotiate the best terms for us. Fuck what the owners want. Because they're going to be the ones that will always have billions of dollars. These are billionaires. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think someone even made the argument that, like, despite all the money LeBron has made with, like, his NBA contracts, the actual value he's brought to the league, he is still being massively underpaid by his NBA contracts. And I'm just like, if you're the players union, why would you put in terms that would make it harder for, well, maybe not LeBron, but hopefully y'all get where I'm going with this. But
I
I
understand what
get where you're going. I'm not saying I get where you're going. I would just argue, then y'all should, look at eliminating the salary cap in general, because that's the only thing that'll fix that. With a salary cap in place, there's no way LeBron will be able to get paid enough to reap the benefits of all the money he's brought to the league. It just won't happen. It's just not, the system isn't designed that way, nor should it be designed. It shouldn't be designed that way. I'm sorry, you have a talent, and to be able to receive this generational wealth with this talent, you got to come play in our house. If you want to get paid for your talent, you got to come play in our house. And in our house, we're going to pay you what we're going to pay you. And if the world is, if you're worth triple, quadruple, whatever, that's fine. It's still our house. Go play somewhere else. And players don't want to do that. It's the same thing as the UFC. Look, you can complain about the contracts, you complain about the pay if you want to. It's a reason why the UFC is the UFC. If money meant that much, you'll go fight. If you had that much pride, you stand on to go fight somewhere else. The players, it's a reason why they agreed to it. Because a lockout is not what they want. Holding out is not what they want. Now, personally, that's what I think you should have did. Once they started getting to the point to where it's like, you're talking about a bunch of losers that's putting in a rule to prevent winning teams from winning. So let's not talk about the collusion that's going on with that, but I digress. A bunch of losers put in this rule. They weren't thinking about taking money out of our pockets. They were thinking, no more Warriors, buddy. That LeBron shit, it's over. Got parity back. Any man can, honestly, CJ McCollum was probably smiling ear to ear when Tyrese Halliburton was in the finals. He said, "This is why we have this in place."
Hey, he was getting cooked by the Warriors for years. I ain't gonna lie. So if the pitch to him was no more KD Warriors, CJ McCollum.
Bet. John Hancock signature.
Where do I sign?
Come on. So that's all it is. They weren't thinking about the money being cut from their pockets. They were thinking, we are never going to experience what we experienced that 8-year stretch ever again. We won't subject the future generations to that bullshit.
No, I'm thinking about it now. Grant Williams and with Jaylen Brown in the same room. No more Warriors? Bet. There's a bunch of Warriors haters in the fucking
just a bunch of Braun fans in the room. Just
like Garrett Temple whole career has been against super teams. That nigga was quick to sign it. What? Thank you.
Yeah,
guys like me can get some tick now. Thank you.
Yo. I just think like people are overreacting to this because one, everyone doesn't fully understand it yet. It's not been like, it's introduced, obviously, it's a thing right now, but it hasn't had its tenure. It hasn't had its 2K adjustment to it and all that other stuff. So everyone is still like learning about it. And people are scared to just learn new stuff. That we've already had that conversation 2 pods ago. I just think it would like people bring up a team like OKC or a team like the Cavs or whatever that have those 3 guys, and it's like, okay, well, does the third guy just lose money? That's up to the owner. Do you want to be that guy that, despite all warnings, play 3 players max amount of dollars possible, and then from that point on have the vet minimums and try to win a championship? I don't think that's a good idea. So that guy, the third guy, hey gang, sorry, you gotta go. And then the question is, well, dang, does that owner need to continue to be excellent because you've hit on 3 draft picks? Do they need to continue doing it? Yes. Actually, yes. That's what I would argue. It's not punishing them, as someone in playback chat is saying, when it comes to the Thunder and J-Dub and Chet and SGA. It's not punishing them for being good at the game. Keep being good at the game. Especially with the Thunder specifically, you got like 90 picks. If you can't consistently build a 15-man roster, to be honest, you only need like 9, 10. A 10-man roster with all of those picks, excess amount of dollars coming in and out of the books, you have, man, what are you doing? Continue greatness. Get good at the game. Y'all are afraid of your NBA becoming a GM's game. Players, obviously, at the end of the day, will always determine wins and losses. But y'all are afraid of it becoming a coach's and GM's game when, like, that's damn near all sports outside of one-to-one combat. It's just how it is. Coaching and management of talent matters more than it ever has. And that puts fear of God in y'all. I don't like that, man. I don't like that for y'all. Y'all really like seeing your glorious king go out there with BS rosters and just being like, hey, man, Glorious King 1, Glorious King 2, Glorious King 3, they all get buckets, LOL plus ratio. Dog, y'all have literally clowned KD for trying to do that for years. Y'all have literally clowned the Suns for years. I don't know why y'all are obsessed with star power equals wins. No, bro, that's changed. It is what it is. Get over it. It's done with.
Before we move on, we do have a visual explanation of the second tax apron for those who still don't get what we're talking about here. Let's go ahead and watch this.
About a week ago, this is what the Celtics salary cap looked like for next season. They were not only over the cap, but also the luxury tax and both aprons. To avoid the apron penalties like restricted access to player acquisitions and limited trade flexibility, and to avoid a big tax bill.
Oh, well. Can you go back to what it showed the penalties were for going to the second apron? I'm about to say, this is what a lot of people don't really know. So no access to the buyout market, which is crazy. No access to mid-level exception players. No, what is that?
Aggregating contracts.
Aggregating contracts.
So that's you can't have two players in a trade thing that I was talking about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No trading cash and the first round pick. What?
Frozen at 30?
Frozen at 30. So no matter what, you could be a first round exit. You could be the worst team in the league.
If the team remains in the second
30.
Yo,
Dang. Yeah, I wouldn't want that either.
That ain't crazy. Yo, come on, bro. If I'm a player and CJ McCollum went into that fucking room and signed that shit, come on, bro.
That is harsh. Wait, what does that asterisk one say? Hold on, it's fine print. If the team remains in the second apron for 2 years.
Yeah, so you can be in the second apron for 1 year and like your pick won't be frozen. The second year, yeah, you're gonna be.
But if you are a super team, oh my God, he wrote that with super team intent. So yeah, lock that 30 the first year, chat. You're fine. So let's say you go over the apron. Let's say you win a championship, you go over the apron, you win another championship. You can still draft whatever. That third year, you're cooked. that like going into third season, you're cooked. Dang, that's definitely super team clause. Yeah,
I just didn't know all the restrictions, so I'm glad we were able to see that
for real.
And the owner's tax bill as well is insane once you get over the second tax.
Yeah, you said 8%.
It's like for every dollar you go over the second tax apron, I think owners have to pay like $3 or for every dollar. And mind you, we're talking about millions of dollars. So if we're 10 millions over the tax apron, someone got to pay 30 million. It may be even more, maybe less, but just tax. Like,
imagine you find that owner that just really loves basketball and he's like, do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Restricted access to player acquisitions and limited trade flexibility, and to avoid a big tax bill, they traded Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for a couple second-round picks and Anthony Simons. That lowered their total payroll a little bit, but then they followed that up by trading Kristaps Porzingis to the Atlanta Hawks for another second-round pick and George Niang. That significantly lowered their payroll to below the second apron, avoiding the penalties, and importantly, saving their new owner nearly $200 million in luxury tax, according to Bobby.
Yeah, $200 million in tax penalties just by being 10 million. So yeah, it may be like straight up like $8 for every dollar.
I don't usually feel bad for like absurdly rich people because you're absurdly rich, but I'd cry in the car about that one. I ain't gonna lie. Woo!
Marks. Finally, though, they added a little bit more salary in the draft, selecting Hugo Gonzalez with the 28th pick. Now, despite being under the second apron, they're still at over $200 million in payroll for next season. So we'll see if they make any other moves through the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, they are.
They should.
They gotta be.
It kind of just doesn't make any sense for y'all to stop. But yeah, I think that it's just, I'm seeing some arguments right now. One saying it's not about basketball. One saying, well, no, bro, I don't want my GMs to determine my franchise's success. I just like, I don't even know how to argue against that. I just like completely check out on that. Like, I want the team, the well-constructed team to win. And if a star overcomes those odds, awesome. I don't know how we want a league where it rewards, not even just rewards the idea of tanking per se, but you essentially can be inept for a decade and a half. You get this one guy in the draft, he's him. And then now you just win plus ratio. That just seems whack. Theoretically, like that kind of is like what I think these arguments are sounding like, and that just seems very corny. You just sit there, keep drafting until you hit on the guy who's just inevitable. It's just like Superman out the draft. Now you get to sit there and be like, good franchise. No, you're an awful franchise.
I want to bring up. I want to bring up two questions here because Damo made a point earlier about how, you know, the second tax apron is going to create parity in the league. But also like the idea that I think Sage brought this up, the idea that like big three paid super teams are dead. Like the big three concept is dead. You got to make an 8-9 man rotation. The counter to that is the new super teams, they're already being drafted anyways before this. So why is the second tax apron even necessary? And also to the parity point, there's already been parity in the league. Like I have been adamant on even prior to this year, we are already in the parity era without the second tax apron. So with those two factors in play, why is the second tax apron still necessary?
To keep the parity, to keep it in the parity era, because we know how things can get. Cool, it was looking like parity for a bit, but if we didn't have these things implemented, players can just click up, team up, and create these monstrosities that either break the league or break a team for the next 10 years. It just prevents that too. It will hold players accountable. Teams are going to be very mindful about how they spend their dollars, so they're not going to be tolerating a bunch of shit that they used to tolerate. DA is out of there now. Like DA was able to finesse doing what the hell he was doing to get his money. The Ben Simmons of the world, them niggas are out of there now. Like there is no more getting paid that much money and being able to sit out games because of whatever you're sitting out for and not producing and meeting expectation. So that's what that's there for. And again, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think as Damo said, it's definitely to maintain a status quo rather than to hard force one. There's certain teams and scenarios that I'm sure a lot of people viewing this video right now, hey, by the way, subscribe, or Twitter per se, that are freaking out about it because it holds their franchise. But some people, it benefits them. Teams that are pretty bad, as Damo was saying, they're now going to have a significant advantage because they're already rebuilding, but now they can rebuild with this new format in place, and they're going to look pretty damn good doing it because they're able to adapt to it. I think positive and negative, everyone's overreacting because we need to give this time. I think shitting on new things that are unfamiliar is always just crummy to me. It needs to have had its time to be set in stone, and let's really see what that product looks like. I don't think we're going to see what that product truly looks like. A lot of biases we'll see in like 2 years, the Laker stuff. We're going to find that out by next year, to be honest. But in terms of like every team being acclimated fully under the second apron, we're not going to see that for like 3, maybe 4 years, I would say, because everyone has to make that adjustment. Everyone has to make those decisions on how they want to go about building their teams now. But I'm definitely excited for it personally. But even if you're not, even if you despise it, I just think nobody can deduce this is horrible or this is great. Right now, we're just guessing and predicting things off of pure emotion. We have to give this thing time and see how things truly shape out. But if I had to make a guesstimation, it's going to be skill issue plus ratio for a lot of these GMs. And I'm excited for inept people to get the fuck out and for great owners and GMs to get their flowers for sure.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and find out what the players actually think. Well, this is just your
The Celtics also traded Kristaps
full screen.
Porzingis. Listen, this is all about the second apron. People said they didn't want super teams anymore. Well, here you have it. All these moves are being made to dodge that second apron. It's a hard cap. You lose draft picks. You lose the mid-level exception. You lose roster spots. You lose the ability to get better and compete as a team. And the amount of money that you lose is insanity. And when I said this, before the deal was signed, this is ridiculous, and it's going to hurt players in the end. No one wanted to listen, and everybody wanted to act like the PA was making a great deal. The PA made a shit deal, as the PA has done for years now. And every year, the pot gets bigger, and the business gets better and the players get screwed more. That's just how this business works. Back to the Boston Celtics. That's what all of these moves are about, people. That's why they got rid of Porzingis. That's why they got rid of Jrue Holiday. That's why you're hearing so many people call on Jaylen Brown. You're hearing so many people call on Derek White. It's because they know they want to get away from that second apron tax. You trade for Anthony Simons, I think, listen, they're the Boston Celtics. They got to be competitive, but at the end of the day, it's an expiring deal, cap situation, all of those things.
Yeah. I gave Souls credit for that point as well. I don't even think Draymond is, I disagree with him, therefore his take is bullshit. The name of the game is going to be signing that guy who overperforms his contract. And you just got to ask how you feel about that. That's what it's going to be. When the Lakers had their Lonnie Walker, I'm just trying to keep it casual for everybody. When the Lakers had their Lonnie Walker signing, and then he randomly gets playoff minutes and it's like, oh, shit. That's going to be the meta. Finding that guy on the low deal in free agency rather than the draft, signing him to a longer term deal, and he's way better than what you thought you paid him for. That's going to be the skill issue there. So I see both sides. That's why when B-Souls was saying, hey, man, from the player's perspective, though, you're going to get cooked. I mentioned that, hey, yo, think about the Warriors back then. You're just going to not pay Dre or Clay when they matter as much, but they're just not as talented. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect system for everyone involved, but I'm excited to see how it plays out still.
Retweet. I do think it's going to be a game of getting the most out of paying the leash. It's going to be a bunch of Jalen Brunson deals or players taking pay cuts. That's another thing people aren't considering. This will force players to, if they do want to win, you're going to have to sacrifice some money to go win for real, if that's truly what you want to do. The players that want to win will be shown, and the players that want to get paid will be shown.
Scamming? I wouldn't call it scamming, but it's going to, as Damo kind of, well, no, not kind of, he literally said, it's going to highlight who wants to do what in their career. All the times we sit there and say, yo, would you rather be a Gilbert Arenas or a Jrue Holiday? Would you rather be a Melo or an Andrew Wiggins? That's going to be shown because the talent is always going to talent. And the talent, if they want to get paid, 90% of the time will always get paid, especially if some of these owners don't give a fuck about competing and they care about their dollars. You understand how easy it's going to be for, like, remember when everybody said the Timberwolves were just being the Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns in them? You understand in this idea, if Cat was like, screw it, I just want the most dollars, and the Timberwolves were like, I don't care about winning, Cat would get all the dollars he deserves. Do you understand? He would get all the dollars he deserves rotting in Minnesota. But these things are possible, but it's also going to be like, damn, all right, Cat, you done turned 30. Do you want to win or do you want the next Supermax? It's an interesting thing. And I definitely am, now more I'm talking about it, I definitely think I'm doubling down on the what enables you to get a Supermax. I've always thought the All-NBA thing was stupid as well. Because that hold guys, like I mentioned them a lot, but Clay especially, Kemba I think got hold too, I want to say. Yeah, the way you get a Supermax, that more I'm talking probably does need to change. But everything else though, I'm still excited.
Well, before we move on, Droopy super chat already expired, but it was $100. I fucking missed it. I ain't gonna lie.
Damn, the Droops.
Droopy with another 100.
Message.
It said something along the lines of, this is for Souls being back. Also, R.I.P. Hota. I think that's a soccer player that passed away like today. I saw something about it. So shout out to Droopy for the 100. JKP for another 100.
The big JKP.
Second apron to me is a good thing. Get smarter with the money. It's not even about super teams. Get smarter about roster construction, and to be honest, lessen the money for a max And to be honest, less than the money for a max, instead of 60 to 7 mil, it stays at 50 to 55. Every top 30 player shouldn't be making 40 mil max. I guess. Yeah. I mean, y'all are thinking from an owner's perspective.
Yeah, and that's where it just come from, man. That's you're not a player. So
we're not owners either.
But I'm a
Should you
fan of the
care?
team.
That's
But
where
I'm
it
a fan
comes
of the
from.
team. So I want what's best for the team. And what's best for the team is an 8, 9, 10-man rotation of people paid on relatively decent deals. What is not good for the team is paying James Harden $60 million. That's not good for the team.
But
Man,
I still think even before the second tax apron, dumb GMs were dumb GMs. Smart GMs were smart GMs. So like even the Suns, the second tax apron didn't change them for being a dumbass franchise. They still
oh
did
no,
what they
they're still
did.
stupid. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? For the Rob
I-
Pelinka critics, he still did what he did with or without the second tax apron. His ability to GM didn't change because of this. Like I don't
think you're calling lazy GMs dumb GMs. I don't think these guys have been dumb. I think they've been lazy for this entire time. And now the second tax apron is putting them in a situation where you will be penalized for being lazy. So now people are not going to be lazy. They're not going to just accept a bunch of bad high salary deals because they're going to have a bunch of rookie guys developing while they're tanking. Well, now if you have a bunch of bad contracts and you're over the tax apron, guess what? You can tank and still get be a 30th pick because you're paying all these guys for no reason. So now even, again, lazy teams are going to have to start making moves and decisions now. I don't think teams have been dumb. They've just been lazy and content.
You know what? I think this will simplify how a lot of people feel with just a simple question. We touched upon it, but we ain't really like dove deep into it. And we don't necessarily need to. This can be a chat activity or a comment section activity. At what line do you think a player doesn't deserve max dollars? And then after that line, what do you think that guy right below whatever your bar for a max player is? Do you think every person in the All-Star game deserves a max? Do you think it's only top 10s that deserve a max? Do you think it's all NBAs that deserve a max? Then after that, what is the non-max guy but really good at the game should be making? I think that is going to be a reset in the league for sure. And there's going to be a lot of people that are like, nah, bro, he can average 20, give him his money. That's always going to be a thing. We feel like that in every sport, but
I think there's thresholds, and there are thresholds for what players make. I think there are thresholds. They just need to be more evident and very hard cut. I do think all NBAs should matter. I do think all stars should matter. MVPs should matter. Accolades matter, but performance matters as well, which I do think they take into account. If a guy is X percentile rebounder, he's in a different threshold than genuinely Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Like he genuinely just is. I think the ranges are fine. It's just defining who gets what, which it hasn't necessarily, at least in recent time, hasn't been the worst. It has got egregious. I don't think personally bench players should make anywhere near max money. A guy like Dennis Schroeder, 10 mil a year is fine for Dennis Schroeder. 10 to 13 a year, that's fine for Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder shouldn't be wanting 20 mil a year. So when Dennis Schroeder was holding out because instead of 25, he was getting offered 20, he holding out for that 25. Well, you almost held yourself out to being back in Germany. It's that type of stuff. That stuff, it was getting egregious with those type of players wanting that type of deal. I'm not for that.
Shit. Last thing on this matter, because we've been talking about this for a minute now. This was presented by our producers in the background. This is not the only time the NBA has used the CBA to change the league. And this is from an ESPN podcast. A couple of examples of rule changes in the CBA that has changed the league. Number one is bird rights.
That brings us to the first unintended consequence and mutation of the salary cap is the bird rights. So back in the day, before the bird rights were introduced, the NBA actually did have a hard cap. But they rightfully realized that any system that required a team to move on from a player like Larry Bird needed to be addressed. And because the Celtics mismanaged their hard cap, they had to institute the bird rights, which allowed teams to pay a player outside of the salary cap as long as he was already on the roster. So you could pay him whatever you wanted. This was the introduction of the soft cap.
And what were the consequences of that soft cap?
So the consequences of the soft cap were players were less likely to switch teams because the only team that could pay you as much as they wanted and outside of the cap was your home team. Mm-hmm. And teams were less likely to go and get other players because other players that they would bring into their team would then impact the cap. And also, players who had the most talent and the most leverage were able to grow their salaries as much as they wanted, as much as they could ask for. It got to the point where players were getting up to 120% of the cap. 80% of the cap was routine.
All right. The next one is max salaries.
Instead of negotiating with those players in a way that would get a contract that they felt more comfortable with, they decided to use the CBA again and introduce max salaries, which would allow smaller market teams to be able to afford these players and also keep the big time players from being able to extract as much value as they wanted.
And that's after Glenn Robinson, who was a rookie, got paid $68 million, which is more than Cooper Flagg's total salary now. So unintended consequences of the maximum salary structure being put into the game.
Yeah, the unintended consequences of the max salary being put into the game, I believe, is that you ended up with these super teams being able to form.
All right. And last one is the luxury tax.
When they instituted luxury taxes.
And this is the first one, which is a weaker luxury tax, right?
And it never worked, so they strengthened the luxury tax. And the luxury tax was meant to make the big market teams who are spending more money have to pay even more money.
Yeah.
But the problem with being those big market teams, it was worth it every step of the way.
Okay. So first of all, the voices like that for copyright. They also flip the shit. So
Yeah,
they'll be producers. So essentially the question is as fans, since that's been Damo's main point in all of this, what are some things that we just want to see more from the game that could be facilitated by like CBA changes specifically? Or you don't even have to think that far. Just what do you want to see more from the league as fans? More team freedom, more player empowerment, less player empowerment.
I want to see better marketing of the talent, showcase the league. There are a ton of talented players in the NBA that deserve to be watched. Spread out the national TV games. I don't care how we do it. Make Game Pass more. League Pass. I say Game Pass, Jesus. Make League Pass more regularly accessible. Make it more streamlined. Make it just better. Implement something that makes watching the game and the production and presentation of the game better for the fan. Get NBA Red Zone. Do something. Be productive with the presentation and the marketing of the game. That's what I want. I don't care if it's a CBA issue. I don't know what issue it would be. That's what I want from the game. There's no reason. This is people's first time really seeing Andrew Nembhard play for real in the first 3 years of his career, and to know that he's this level of player. There's no reason Benedict Mathurin hasn't already been known as this level of player or to have this level of talent. You got guys like Vernon Maxwell who see Nembhard take a shot. Oh, that's not your bag. You don't know what his bag is because they're not putting the Pacers in front of you. People are saying there's this, I seen on the timeline, oh, the Magic really can do something if the right players take the right steps. People, the Magic, what? What do they got? Like Paolo Banchero isn't a demon that the league just doesn't, like, people just don't know about because they're not watching the Magic. I want to see someone, who was it in the Discord? It was G-Man. Oh, but the Paolo don't got no personality. Yes, he does. But you wouldn't know because you don't watch Magic games. So marketing, that's the one thing I would ask for. Better marketing.
Sage.
I just want everything to stay competitive as it was. And I just want good decisions to be rewarded, bad decisions to be punished. I think actions have consequences, and there's no way that people should just be able to do what they like, just do dickhead shit and then well, my aura is built diff. You know what I'm saying? I just like that with my front offices. As far as players are concerned, nigga, go out there, go hoop and stay healthy. That's my main thing. I'm tired of not even what ifs. I'm just tired of seeing shit where players are going out there putting up fantastic seasons, narratives for themselves, elevating to a different level of stardom, and then his knee buckled too. For the love of God, y'all go out there, get your dollars how you need to get your dollars. Do whatever it takes do whatever makes you happy, whether it's putting yourself in a situation to win, maxing out whatever your wallet, whatever. Stay healthy how you do it. That's all I care about, to be honest. But stay healthy, because seeing these injuries left and right, we ain't even talk about that. That's worse than the Apron shit to me. It's crazy out here.
Yeah, I don't know where it starts. If they're already doing something about it, they got to do something about these injuries. Put more resources into figuring out what the fuck is going on. Put more money into R&D. And also, I don't know if this is an NBA thing that they can facilitate. Need a better supervillain in the league, man. We need a good supervillain in the league. Now, am I promoting super teams? No, not necessarily. It could be one player. None of these guys have really embraced that like villain role. You know what I'm saying? that like KD did at one point, Bron did at one point, Kobe, MJ, all these different people, Shaq even. I need a good villain that everyone just hates, and I'm gonna support that villain this time because I've
It's
never
gonna be
been
the
on the
Thunder.
villain side.
Because to be a good villain, you need to be good. So it needs to be a team that everyone knows should and likely will win. It's gonna be the Thunder. Thunder gonna be villains.
But do you think the Thunder are like cocky enough to be villains? That's my thing. They make me
I
too
think
humble.
whether they're cocky or not, whether it's because they have too much aura, nowadays it's lack aura, or anything in between, as long as someone is consistently winning at a crazy pace, doing it in a defensive way, especially, they'll be the villain for sure. Especially if there is on the other end, like Tyrese, who was looking like the fucking superhero, where you think it's just him as a solo star doing it. That's why I think nobody here really knows what they want, and we just all yapping and bitching. But if it's one guy going up against a super team or a team that's consistently getting it done, that team that will automatically be the villain. To be honest, if anything, we need to find the superhero more than the villain. That really sets it off.
The heroes come from the villains. You're a good villain.
Every hero, heroes are made first, and then you have a foil who is the villain, man. That's the format. That's anime 101, man. Come on, bro. You don't introduce Madara before Nart. You gotta let Nart be out there narting it up, and it's like, damn, who's the final boss?
Wait, the intro of the show is the Nine Tails fucking up the village. What are we talking about?
Like at the time, then it pivots to Nart and his struggles. Then I'm gonna kill you. Then Nart and his struggles and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The Nine Tails popped up first. The lore popped up first, but they introduce shit. They win you over with Nart, and then they go to that nonsense shit.
I guess, man. I guess. I just know when I seen that Nine Tails, I was like, damn, who is gonna stop this demon? Like for real. And then the hero became the demon. I was like, who do I root for?
They're on the same team now. Sorry.